Welcome to Garden Wall Recall.
A nostalgic time capsule, a no-spoiler book club of the original Over the Garden Wall fandom.
We are your creepy curators. I am Shocking Shelby.
I'm Chilling Charley.
And I'm Ella!
Led through the mist by the milk light of moon, all that was lost is revealed. Our long bygone burdens, mere echoes of the spring. But where have we come, and where shall we end? If dreams can't come true, then why not pretend?
I've been living happily these past 6 months as a woodsman.
As a woodsman in a storybook. I've been living happily these past 6 months as a woodsman in a children's storybook.
It's from the dock! He's alive! He's in the unknown, but he's alive! Welcome to Garden Wall Recall, an Over the Garden Wall podcast, period, piece.
Yeah.
It's many periods in a piece, really.
It's many periods, many pieces.
Yeah. Who's here?
Interestingly, my wife is here!
Yippee!
Your wife!
But am I allowed to talk? I wasn't introduced into existence yet.
Well,
No,
that's
I said
because
my
we're
wife
not
is here.
allowed to.
That's a hell of an introduction, right? Hi, Nia. So, Nia, you and I have been dating for 6 years,
That's right.
but also you're an artist and VTuber and vocalist.
That does not even cover all of the things I do. I do illustration, I do 3D,
Editor,
I do live 2D,
Whoa.
I'm
Basically-
a streamer, I sing, and also I pretty much just teach myself anything I find interesting or something that I need in my line of work. But mainly I am pretending to be a catgirl online, and I stream
And
art.
being a cat girl.
Love
in
that
real
for
life.
you.
So that's like the Wikipedia headline. Like, Nia is primarily a cat girl, but also, an illustrator and a...
But before we introduce the guests you brought on, may I tell the story of how you and I met?
Sure, go ahead.
So, I was in a group chat for Ace Attorney fans, and someone there, red as a tomato, had become an artist on a blog counting down until the anime, Ace Attorney anime officially released. Each day a different fan art would be posted of someone holding up a sign with a number. And her username was red as a tomato, and I was following that blog, and I saw someone named Tomato Magica had posted, and I was like, "Oh, did she change her username?" And I messaged the person to try to figure out what was going on. By the time they responded, I was like, "That is someone else. I have just engaged in a conversation with a stranger, and now we're married."
And if you like to talk with tomatoes, well, that's a different podcast.
That goes at the end. Yeah, that goes at the end of in the plugs.
Have we got a show
This
for you?
kind of vaguely reminding me of the time the company tried to trademark, apples, actual apples.
Oh my god.
That feels like a villain move, but that also tracks for Apple.
Yeah.
So, who's your friend here?
So my friend here is
Meow.
Bibi Meezy, also
Hi.
known as Web. She is a
Hello.
fellow VTuber, an artist, a singer, and she's very awesome. Hi, Web.
Hi. Yeah, I do all those things. I don't have an extensive line of things, but I do have a cold. And that's fun.
Oh no!
You're so
Thank
brave
you for bringing
for
that cold to our museum.
Achoo!
today,
Oh
so we
no,
can,
guys, I'm so
preserve
sorry.
it.
I just gave you my cold. But now you're the coolest people
Wow.
around, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, snap.
Oh no! She gave us the VTuber rabies.
It's an honor to have you both here today. Although we do have do have a rule here. We can't actually let you into the spooky themed museum without inducting you with
You're allowed to enter
name.
if you're sick. That's no problem to us.
No, you do. You're allowed to enter like the lobby, but to get to the rest of the place, we need to give you a spooky name.
Oh, okay.
We need to give you a Halloween themed name. So if we can just figure that out for each of you.
For example,
then we
I'm
can
chilling
see.
Charley. Shelby.
I'm shocking Shelby.
And I, of course, obviously am Ella, as stated at the top.
Yeah, monsters.
It's, union regulations, we all need a Halloweeny name.
So, who wants to go first?
I want to be Witchy Web. Tee-hee. Tee-hee. Tee-hee.
Witchy Web is good. I was going to
That's so
suggest...
good!
That is so
I was going to
cute.
suggest Cobweb.
No, that's lame. I'm cool.
Yeah, like
That's pretty good,
Spiderweb,
too,
Cobweb,
but Witchy Web is cute.
good.
Do you have one, Nia?
Can I just steal Ella's? Can I be? Yeah.
Evil
Well, that's
cat
like a spooky
moment.
black cat in your path,
That's like
right?
more of a
I'm a
spooky,
werecat.
yeah, it's more of a...
A werecat.
You
I
could
like
be,
that.
Yeah.
You could be Neacula.
True.
Caluniacula.
That's pretty good.
I do have red eyes.
That's true. I like...
Alright, yeah, we'll go with that. You have to pronounce it with a snarl of your claw. Like, you have
That's
to kind of
right.
like flick your
Oh, I
claws
did,
when
I
you
did.
Put the
say
cape over your mouth. Go blah, blah, blah.
I don't say that.
So true.
blah, blah,
I only
blah.
say that when I say I don't say it.
I do come from the Slavic part of Europe.
So does that give you, like, the blah, 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 right? So you are a
Yeah,
vampire.
Does that give you-
me the vampire?
And does that
rights.
give you special powers?
Oh, yeah, you should come clean about that. Go ahead.
my special power? Rolling R's.
Whoa, do it,
That's a
do
pretty
it.
good one. Yeah,
wow.
go for it.
Can you roll one?
That's sexy.
Ooh.
That was a sexy R.
That's a good one.
I thought she just sounded like a
Turn
car.
regular R into a sexy R.
People describe their cars purr as sexy all the time. That is valid.
They do. Straight guys
Wow.
really want to f their cars.
Scary.
Wow. Listen to that sexy purr. Wow.
Those are the cars from the Cars trilogy.
So, also, I would love just to set the mood for our seasonal podcast if either of you wanted to share a Halloween anecdote from your life.
One time I walked through the woods to get to someone's house,
Whoa.
and I
I
kind
like
of,
how this started.
I kind of like walked in the lake. So I was
Mhm.
like
Oh,
dressed
no.
up
Okay.
as a little, I think it was a bird. I think I was cosplaying as a bird.
Hold,
Like a little,
are you sure you
budgie.
didn't just enter, like, this series? Like, are you sure you didn't just experience Over the Garden Wall?
well, I don't know. What happened was I live on a mountain, right? So to get to,
Okay, that feels
to get
relevant.
to one part of the other or another person's house, you have to go through like a valley. You have to walk down and up. So, but in between all ends of my down is like water. So I thought I was going through a dry spot, but it wasn't. And then I
Was
walked
this on
to
foot?
someone. Yeah.
Okay. Is this a real story?
Why would I lie to you?
Well, it's a real story, but whether or not it happened,
Okay,
it's a real
sorry.
story.
I'm sorry for... No, alright, go on.
And I walked to this other person's house, and it was fucking abandoned.
Oh my
What?
god.
They gave you the wrong address? That's the scariest
There
one of
was
all.
nobody there.
Well, I wasn't going to an address. I just went to like the closest house.
Okay.
Oh,
It
okay.
lived in the middle of nowhere, and it was empty.
Was it haunted?
I
You
wouldn't know.
you knocked on the door and they were like, you were knocked on the door. It's like, is anyone home? And someone was like, why would anyone live there? You have to trudge through water to get to the house.
I think it would be valid if I like went over there. I also saw my neighbors that night, and they're like, nobody lives here. walk back through this
Why
woods.
did you go to your neighbor's house?
No, my
to-
neighbors like were over there for some reason, and they were like, "We walk over here all the time.
Burying
Just
a
walk
body."
through the other bottom of the mountain, in the opposite direction
The other
where
bottom, yeah.
where the poison ivy is, and you can go to our house." And I was like, no thanks."
Wait, hang on. So there are so near you there are a bunch of traps guarding an abandoned house.
Yeah.
And the two options are going through the water or the poison ivy.
Well,
And then when you get there, no one's even there.
the problem was like if I went to the poison ivy, right? It's a straight line. It would be water, mountain, then poison ivy. So I'd still like another go in another f***ing mountain. I'd still be walking in the trail.
Well, we all know that the sweetest candy comes.
So you lived in a cursed valley.
Yes.
From our hardest
Cursed
battle.
The sweetest candy. The sweetest candy comes when you have to battle everything. Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
I fought
That's
for my
true.
life that night.
That's
Yeah, the best trick-or-treating haul I ever got was when I had to fight their dog.
Yes.
like just punch a dog to get your candy.
One time there was a giant like bug on top of the doorbell. So that was the most I ever had to fight for the candy.
Wait, so if dog fights are illegal, are dogs fighting children illegal?
No. Because
No,
they're
that's
two different
perfectly
things.
legal. That's
Children
actually
are, like,
recommended.
worth less than the dog, apparently. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can just fight
It's
them
actually
all the time. They
super
fight all the
legal.
time in school,
It's
so their
super-
fighting worth is
It's
less.
super. It's legally required for all dogs to fight all children. Nia, is Halloween really like a thing in Russia or no?
So Halloween, I would say it's more like a cosplay holiday more than anything. It's like
Love
the
that.
older generation, they do not really know much about Halloween. They just know that it's like scary and Satan worshipping, so they are firmly against it. Like I know in some regions they even ban like celebrations of Halloween, but it's not like really that serious across the board. And for the young people, it's usually just an excuse to get drunk and like dress up in cosplays.
I mean, that's what it is here too.
That's
Oh,
fine.
but like
Yeah,
you have
for
actual
people-
traditions.
Not really. It's really more of a candy holiday, a candy-based
Still.
holiday fully.
It's a very lax one here.
And still, you have like more opportunities to even trick or treat because, like, in a lot of parts, you have like houses. They're like separated from each other, and we just have apartments.
True.
Okay.
True.
I don't
Yeah.
know if I describe it as lack.
I don't know. Well, no, we get into Halloween, but there's no the traditions are all very based upon children having fun and not about
Oh, I get you. Oh, okay,
any
yeah, I see what you're saying.
legacy
Or college
or anything.
students
I have
getting a lot of
neighbors
alcohol.
that
Yeah.
give out anti-Halloween books for Halloween.
I'm sorry.
Now-
What? That's a very like uniquely southeastern.
Yeah, they have, and they were like children, so they moved here. They moved here, and they're also from Russia, but they moved here, and they give out these little books every Halloween, and they're like, "Don't do Halloween, don't do Halloween, Satan."
So you think Halloween is evil, and yet you're giving out things on Halloween. Yet you're participating in the holiday.
Well,
Interesting.
the children are giving out the Halloween stuff, and they're like,
Curious,
books
I'm
that are
very
like-
intelligent.
That's what I
Satan.
meant about a lax holiday, Ella. The
Yeah, I see what
traditions
you're
are so
saying.
simple that handing out anti-Halloween literature can count as participating.
When I was little, I was not allowed to watch stuff like it can be as harmless as you can imagine. And like if it has something to do with like witches or ghosts or whatever, like people will hate it.
Look, when you die, you're done. We don't want to give the children the idea that there's something after that.
I don't want to get excited for something after that. I'm scared.
So I have an autumnal tradition of watching Over the Garden Wall every single year. And one autumn, I found myself in Nia's arms.
Ooh.
And so
Did you kiss-
this is
You
not the
kidnapped
first.
them?
Yeah, Nia kidnapped me.
And took you
And,
to another country.
Took me to Belgium, and we watched Over the Garden. So this will not be the first time we have watched Over the Garden Wall together.
That's right.
Was that the first time?
Not the first time. Well, Nia was in the real time fandub as Enoch.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Because
yeah,
Nia had
that
to go to
happened.
Nia had to go to bed.
So you cast them as someone in the second episode.
Yeah, exactly. And when I distinctly remember when Greg is hitting the wolf with the axe and going spank, spank, spank. I didn't have an axe, but I did that in time with him.
Yeah.
I can't bring an axe on an airplane, it turns out.
But you could buy
That's
one
frowned
there,
upon.
or rent one, maybe.
Could've
done
I mean,
that.
Agatha already tried to bring a giant knife, right, onto the...
Yeah, and then had to
On the
run
plane.
across several states. Oh, by the
Yeah.
way, that is worth mentioning. You all have been transformed into werewolves, by the way.
We're working on it.
Werewolves, not swearwolves, though.
Okay, I
Wait,
won't.
Scarewolves.
Scarewolves, perhaps, though. You might be
But
scarewolf.
if Web is like a witchy Web, doesn't that mean that she should transform into a witch? Do we all get transformed
It's
into
a witch
werewolf?
that transforms into a werewolf.
A witch?
The werewolf thing is just kind of a bonus onto
Yeah.
whatever
A
monster
witch
you
wolf.
already
Like
are.
if you're a werewolf, that means you're in another form 29 days out of a month, or
But now because you are aware of it, you are an aware wolf.
Yeah, and a
And a
werewolf.
werewolf.
Yeah.
But if we weren't aware of it, we'd just be...
You would just be a
We-
werewolf.
Okay.
You'd be an unaware wolf.
an unaware wolf.
werewolf.
Yeah, an unaware werewolf.
So, are we ready to watch an episode of Over the Garden Wall?
I
Yes,
love
Alright.
Toodles.
Well, then, I guess we should start in the middle of the series, because that's where we left off. Mad Love is the 5th episode of Over the Garden Wall. It premiered on November 5th, 2014 on Cartoon Network, and it was written and storyboarded by Natasha Allegri and Zach Gorman, who we've talked about in previous episodes.
That's Bee and Puppy Cat and Costume Quest, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And since yeah was catgirl is now a werewolf, kind of a puppy cat in your own right.
You're right.
You're a
You're
puppy
in
cat.
real life.
Puppy cat, puppy cat.
Beatrice, why are you pretending I'm this guy's nephew?
We need money.
You're scamming him?
I was thinking more like flat out stealing from him.
What? No way.
Why not? We already stole a horse.
Hey guys,
No, we didn't. Fred's a talking horse. He can do whatever he wants.
I want to steal.
What? You guys are bonkers.
So
Ah,
we just
Good
watched
times.
Mad Love.
don't be mad.
Nia and Webb, what'd you think of that one?
I love it. I love tea. And I don't love kissing my competitors. But if they're pretty, I guess it's okay.
Yeah, it's enemies to lovers.
I thought it was really funny that Beatrice started screaming the second word implied that they about to have a conversation one-on-one.
Yeah, Beatrice
That's the mood!
is not like a nice person.
Yeah, this is like the first episode where she gets close to being a nice person. But it does track with her backstory, which we
Yeah,
find
what-
out in this episode.
That she used to be a person.
That she used to be human and was, her and her entire family were cursed to turn into bluebirds because she threw a rock at a witch in bluebird form? Is that what?
Well,
Something
maybe
like
don't do
that. When she is
Don't
trying
throw
to
a
be
rock at anyone.
It's true. If rocks were meant to fly, they'd have wings. That's what I always say.
Of course.
And then when
I hear
the,
you say that every day.
when the counselors would say that to us at camp, we would draw wings on the rock and be like, "Yeah, it's right there." Because we
Another
were
thing
smart
that
asses.
really made me laugh was Wirt being able to tell between the Georgian architecture and
The Rococo.
style.
French Rococo, yeah.
And if I remember correctly, Rococo is a part of the Georgian style, so it's like Rococo is Georgian, but not all Georgian is Rococo.
Oh, okay.
And Wirt understands that distinction because he's a gigantic nerd.
Well,
Exactly, yes.
Quincy Endicott's house is based off of colonial architecture, specifically, mostly Thomas Jefferson's house, and Marguerite Goray's house is based off of French architecture. So that's the distinction that that was given in the design philosophy. Chris Sergiotis wrote, "This was the most intensive episode of the bunch. All that Baroque architecture. Towards the end, I was relying on photo reference to get it done."
Oh god.
Wow.
Well, you know what they say. If it ain't Baroque.
Don't fix it.
So another line that really stuck out to me was when Beatrice was telling the story about her family and Wirt was like, "So you're going to the Adelaide to get them turned back into humans?" And she was like, "Yes, that was the plan, but yes, that was the plan." Like she was having she was
trails
having
off.
a thought. Like she was having doubts, second thoughts. I thought that was very
Right.
good.
I mean, it's because this whole started because she was a jerk to a bluebird.
That's
and
right.
She can't stop being a jerk. Like, this is like she's finally like realizing that maybe. Like,
Well, even when she's trying to comfort and lift up Wirt, she says, "Well, the poetry thing is weird."
Yeah, because Wirt reveals his dark secrets that he has a crush on a girl, and he whispers poetry to himself, and he plays clarinet.
How old is Beatrice supposed to be? Like 20?
Well,
I
always
have no
thought she
idea.
was about the same age as Wirt, maybe like 16 or
Probably
17.
a little
Because 20-year-olds that are... she is an asshole, but 20-year-olds don't usually throw rocks at bluebirds,
That's
but a
true.
15-year-old might.
Yeah, because as we said when we covered the first episode, you're 16. You should be apprenticing in the
That's
mines.
true. Yeah,
You're an adult.
No, in the era when Beatrice and her family are based off of, 16 was worldwide considered an adult.
I mean, pretty much every era that is portrayed in Gardenwall. Yeah. So Quincy Endicott is the eccentric rich guy that I assume this was Beatrice's idea, that Beatrice has convinced him that Wirt and Greg are his nephews, and that they're trying to steal some money from him so that they can take the ferry to Adelaide's house because they need 2 coins, which is a reference to Tartarus, right? Is that what that is? Or is that the river? The river Styx.
It's the river Styx. Yeah, you need 2 coins, one on each eye, in order to cross the river Styx. That's your toll.
So it used to be a pretty common burial practice to put a coin on each eye.
Why did I think it was like under your tongue? Is that something else?
That's
I thought you had to put a coin
different
under your
one.
tongue.
There is one. Maybe it is that, but I remember.
I'm
Maybe it is under the
sublingually
tongue. It's
entering
been
the river
so-
Styx.
Well,
Yeah.
they say it absorbs into your bloodstream better than just doing it orally.
It's true, or ocularly.
Yeah. So Quincy Endicott is voiced by no one.
Voiced by no one. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. He's real.
Wait, is
Quincy
the-
Endicott is a
is
real
the VA
man,
bad
and
or
they cast him as
something?
himself.
Yeah, he's very transphobic.
I mean, we could explain, like, he's
evil
famous.
people.
It's not like...
No, you don't need to go into it. I hate evil
It's
people.
fine.
Yeah, he was in the Harry Potter films and defends Joanne
Okay.
on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't be mad.
MacLeod.
I love, there's a lot of great Greg moments. I love when he calls the peacock a chicken.
It's
a weird chicken.
Greg and Fred are definitely dueling for MVP of this episode because Fred...
Fred. So in the comics, we learn that the reason that Fred has this obsession with stealing is because he's the highwayman's horse. That's, what he does. But I love
his official horse.
I love he's a talking horse. He can do what he wants. I want to steal. Like
then Wirt's little gasp. You guys are bonkers.
So good.
That exchange that ends with "I want to steal." I saw like the majority of my exposure to the show initially was people quoting or gifing that exchange.
I want to steal. Yeah, and just the total lack of stealth that intrinsically comes with being a horse. Like,
Yeah.
you see, like, all the overturned, like, cabinets just littered throughout the house, like, as they go. Like,
It's very hard to have a quick hand when you have hoofs.
when you're a horse.
Yeah.
And we get, when Wirt knocks over a vase, we get the classic pottery breaking noise.
That
You
is
know, that's just in-
that is the Wilhelm scream of Wet Hot American Summer.
Yeah,
It's in nearly
amazing.
every scene of the Wet Hot franchise.
And you've definitely heard it in something. So the Patrick McHale in the art book said that the inspiration for this story came from a dream that he had once. He said, I was looking at houses to buy. I was inside a small house looking at the fireplace, and there was a staircase that went up through the chimney. On the left side, there were some bricks missing, and you could walk up. While the real estate agent was talking to somebody else, I went up the steps. They wound their way up, 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 until finally opening into a big, beautiful library. The rest of the house had been very plain, but this secret room was just gorgeous. There was a giant globe in the middle of the room, and all these books and candles and an ornate old rug. This room is so valuable, I thought. If I buy this house and I get this room, I'll immediately make my money back. Then I noticed the room had yes, nerdy dreams.
I love that this is how he thinks when he's sleeping. Yes.
Yeah. Then I noticed the room had a large set of doors on the opposite side, which opened into another hallway. I thought, this house is so big. Did the previous resident even know about all this? How long has it been since someone set foot here? I walked down the hall, seeing room after beautiful room. They looked like the rooms Wirt and Beatrice find when they come out of the fireplace. But then I heard a sound from one of the rooms. Someone was in this house with me. And it slowly began to dawn on me that I wasn't in the same house. I had accidentally broken into a stranger's house through a secret passage. I was trespassing in some rich person's mansion. I tried to leave and then I woke up.
I've had a lot of dreams where I'm just suddenly in a different location, and when I become cognitively aware of it, I justify it with, like, there must have been a secret passage! And
Yeah!
That's the solution to
Then when
everything.
You know what these hands have done?
And then also a lot of my dreams end with me not being where I'm supposed to be and someone getting mad at me. So
Oh yeah. Classic.
That's how I live my
Classic
life,
dream.
though, so...
Well,
You're
yeah,
not
live your
supposed
dream.
to be here! Oh,
You
sorry,
gotta
guys.
live your dream. I could see how it inspired the ghost angle of the story because Quincy Endicott is worried that that there's either a ghost at his mansion, the ghost of a beautiful woman in a portrait that he's obsessed with. Either there's a ghost and that's scary, or there's not a ghost and he's going mad, which is scarier. And I'm like, yeah, same.
And he's completely alone.
Yeah.
He would rather
You know-
be with a ghost than with his own thoughts. In a mansion that he described as a labyrinth. Like, imagine describing your own home that you live in. A labyrinth, like
impossible to
something
navigate. Yeah.
that's impossible to navigate.
I feel like a lot of rich people can describe their house as such, though. Because they have so
Do you know
much
what these hands
money.
have done? What these filthy hands have done for this money? Accurate.
Yeah, that was very accurate to the rich people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That line delivery is so good.
And Greg just really wants to see a ghost.
I do too. I think if I was in the position, I too would want to look for the ghost and be like, I'm Ghostbuster, don't worry. I'll just go find it by myself.
Yeah.
This
It
is like
was
going...
being so nice, like trying to lift his spirits, trying to like tell him like it's gonna be okay. There is definitely a ghost.
I think I
Yeah.
love that it
That was so
continues the theme that we were talking about with Greg, where every episode he is very focused on one thing and one thing alone. In this
Exactly,
episode,
yeah,
it's
like-
the ghost. I love that that's a constant. Like that's
Exactly, that Max and Ruby thing where Max says a new like thing
And
in
that
each
is a
episode.
very kid thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I also love how gullible Quincy Endicott is. At one point, he's like, "You know me well, nephew. You just met this guy like an hour ago."
Well, yeah, he accepts Greg logic easier than anyone. Like when Greg's like, "All right, let's go, heave ho," he's like, "Yes, heave ho, yes."
He assumes he has known Greg since he was born.
Yeah, they just gaslight this poor old man.
And he falls for it. He's very lonely.
Yeah, he's design-wise. Nick Cross said that he was a mixture of George Washington and King George III to
the
kind
Georgian
of meld America and Britain
sensibilities.
together.
Yes.
The
Yeah, the
Georgian.
Georgian, you know.
That I'm
Georgian
pretty sure that's the
sensibilities.
George that they're referring to in that.
But
So-
his giant collar that goes up to his eyebrows is based on a drawing that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's father did, apparently.
Yeah, Charles Altamont Doyle did an illustration of some guy with a huge collar, apparently.
Iconic.
I would love context as to why, but also it's better that I don't have it. Like, it's like his son invented fingerprinting, and he invented collars that go up to your eyebrows.
And so Endicott's the product of George Cest. George Washington and King George III had a baby.
Ella, we talked about Washington Irving. There is a moment in the original Rip Van Winkle story where he wakes up and spies an illustration of George Washington for the first time because he wasn't a political figure when he fell asleep. And he's like, wow,
Yeah.
King George looks different.
Yeah.
Because it's a guy in a
personality-
powdered wig named George. I don't...
Yeah, his personality is a very interesting mix of being both like trusting too easily and being incredibly suspicious of people because he's afraid of people stealing from him.
He's suspicious of himself, even. Like, he does not
Yeah.
trust...
I think
He
he
trusts,
is
like,
mad.
Greg so easily, but he
Honestly,
cannot believe his own eyes. Yeah.
There are some substances that do get you in that mindset.
Yeah,
And they
like,
treat
tea,
it
right?
as such. Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, he's
tea.
just had a lot of caffeine.
He's just para.
Throws it himself.
Greg! My
Crazy.
fingers, they look like little sausages.
in the Ruddles, they replace the anecdote of Bob Dylan introducing the Beatles with to weed with tea, but change no other details about the story.
Did it pass? Did people
Yes,
believe
the
it
tea
was
just
tea?
has this effect on you.
It's still
Yeah.
Bob Dylan. They didn't even change that.
Yeah. The big twist is that there was no ghost. It's just a real lady. It's Marguerite Gray, who is voiced by Bebe Neuwirth, who played Frasier's wife Lilith on Cheers and Frasier. Originated Morticia Addams in the Broadway cast of the Addams Family
I
musical.
love that musical.
And I had a main role on Teenage Euthanasia, which is a cartoon I interned on for Adult Swim. It's on HBO Max.
So you
knock on
practically
wood.
know her, is what you're saying.
No, I never met her. I did not.
You've
I
drawn
don't know
in
her.
between
I just did drawings to her voice.
Yeah, you did
So
in
you know
between.
her voice really well.
You
Yeah.
did in between frames of her, and she kissed Nathan Lane. This is an amazing person.
Yeah. Now I wish I kissed.
Now you've by transitive property kissed Nathan
I
Lane.
kissed Nathan Lane.
Yes.
You're right. Yeah. No. So you can watch Teenage Euthanasia on HBO Max. Knock on wood.
So yes, there are two mansions that are so big that they touch each other, and there's like a weak piece of wood that can be removed to travel between the two.
What if I moved my Minecraft mansion next to yours?
Just joking. Unless
Unless. Ah, yes, T. Can't stand the stuff myself. I like that he hates tea. Like, he built this whole empire on it, but when
Don't
they asked
get
him,
high
he's
on
like,
your
"Oh,
own
I
supply,
can't
Ella.
stand."
if you love tea and you grow tea, that's not getting out to the masses.
You're
That
right.
is
You're
true.
right. Mustn't get high on my own supply.
Exactly.
All right.
Web, Nia, you have
anything-
anything, any other notes on this episode before we move on to the
Mad
next one?
love.
Why did the frog only come out at the end of the episode? I feel like that
He was
happens-
afraid of the ghost.
Oh, is it?
I don't know.
Well,
They
he
could
only
come up
comes
with enough
out-
funny things for him to do in this
I
episode,
find,
so they
I
just wrote
find
him
that
out.
sometimes there are frogs that you just want to come out and like sing all the time, but whenever like people
I want all the frogs to come out. We know they're gay, but I'm just saying.
but yeah, well, what?
They're putting chemicals in
No,
the
but
water.
sometimes you want a frog to pop out of its container and sing to people, but it just kind of stays there.
Oh, yeah,
until
right,
no
a
one's
singing
observing
frog,
it.
yeah.
The
I'll
frog
believe that
has
when I see
breached
it, Charlie.
containment.
Hello,
I'll
my
believe it when I
baby.
see it, Charlie. You're not trying to tell me there's a singing, dancing frog
I
in that
promise there's a
container.
singing, dancing frog in this house.
Yeah,
Ella.
okay,
look
all
at him.
right.
Look
I
at
would
him.
like to see it.
Look, that's a normal frog. I'm gonna turn my back
my
now.
baby.
Frog. Give me the
Hello, my
frog.
baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my or rather,
Hello, darkness, my old
Oh,
friend.
your frog sings that one.
or rather, I guess, led through the mist by the.
Yeah. But still with the hat and cane.
I want that up tempo. Led through the mist in the milk light of moon.
Moonlight
All
moon,
that is
all
lost
that
is
was
found.
lost.
Oh, there's it's a good jazz
Yeah,
hands
there we go.
song
Over the
now.
garden wall.
Over the garden wall.
But no, I think the actual the Doylist explanation could just be that since Fred was on the adventure for all of this episode, that was just like a lot of characters to balance, so they kind of tucked the frog away under Greg's hat, so they didn't have to think about
Doylist describes the
missing-
person who drew the giant collar instead of the person with the giant collar.
Exactly.
We ready to move on then?
Of course.
Ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After a quick musical interlude. Oh, we're going to the pasture to meet Adelaide and ask her if she has a way to send us back where we came from. I don't know who she is or how she is or when, what, why she is, but as for where she is where we will go to Adelaide. Adelaide, come on and join the Adelaide parade. Adelaide, to Adelaide, we're going to Adelaide's house today. I'm getting kind of sleepy, Could somebody, sing me some kind of song, to help me sleep?
Well, you just sang us a song, so that's
yeah, it tired me out. It really
Okay,
tired me
well,
out.
maybe-
Tuckered.
I
It's time to pass the baton.
I think Nia and Webb will probably serenade us later.
Play us
but,
out. All right,
but,
what about for now?
For now, I think we should stick to this lullaby in Frogland.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. What is that?
Well, Ella, I'm glad you asked. It's
I
the
did ask,
6th
yeah.
episode of Over the Garden Wall. It premiered on November 5th, 2014 on Cartoon Network. It was written and storyboarded by Burt Young and Nick Edwards. Nick Edwards.
The Nick Edwards?
Yes, the director on Apple and Onion and the Fungies.
Fungies.
That's fun.
Yeah, Fungi.
Jeez.
Jeez.
Jeez. Or maybe it's the fungi. I don't. Well, I'll just pull it up on it. You know what? I'll just pull it up on HBO Max. Oh no. No, yeah, that actually was one of the shows. That was one of the shows that got screwed over, and it sucks because it was a really cute show.
Oh, okay.
So please try
That's
to
why I
find it.
haven't heard of it, because it has been
Good, we have pirates on board.
it has been snapped from existence by
Pirates?
Worst David.
No. This is a normal ferry. This is a non-pirate fare.
I do love boats, though.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
fun
then why
that
don't we-
it's fun that we have an episode based on a nightmare and an episode about a boat, because right before recording, Webb had a nightmare about a boat.
I
so-
had a nightmare about
Oh.
being a
Wow.
zombie, and I was like, to be fair, I was going through the woods, and then going through a house, and then I got on a boat, and then the nightmare ended, and I was a zombie. But I wasn't doing anything crazy, I was just a zombie doing those things. So,
You were going
This
through
does
the
sound like
woods.
a
Zombie
twist
doing
Then-
on
zombie
your
things.
Halloween story.
Then you were going through the water and not the poison ivy.
yeah, just like that.
Yeah. I'm just doing hot zombie
All right, we ready to get into Lullaby in Frogland?
Yippee, let's go!
Yeah.
What a nice way to spend our last day, going to Adelaide's house. Our journey is finally over. Pretty soon, I'll be back home. I won't have to worry about that woodsman or that beast or whatever. And you won't have to put up with us anymore. Bet you're pretty happy, huh, Beatrice?
Oh, yeah, sure.
You all right? You sound uncharacteristically wistful.
What? Sorry, just thinking.
So, we just watched Lullaby in Frogland and Frogland, the 1922 stop-motion silent film by...
Nia, do you want to help us with this Russian name?
Vladislav Starevich.
Vladislav Starevich made a 1922 stop-motion film called Lullaby in Frogland.
called Frogland.
Or called Frogland, that this was largely inspired by. We just watched it for
And
the first time.
It's really weird. Like, I didn't understand any of it.
It seems to be about people being unsatisfied with their leader, so they pray to God to give them a new one, and then he sends one that eats all of them.
Yeah.
Which sounds about right.
Yeah.
It is very well animated. Like, that I can say for sure. Like, it's very well done.
They're just
with the stop
they're
motion.
just part of the they're just part of the storks ate my face party, and they never thought that storks would eat their face.
The storks eat my face party versus the stupid king party.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right. Now
It's
that I think
also, of
about
course, as many people have clocked, inspired by Wind in the Willows, because there's not like a steamboat of frogs in the original Frogland.
But there is a
yeah.
band.
Yeah, so that
There is. There's
a band.
There's a big old
It's
drum.
true.
There's a big drum.
Yeah, and of course the title is a reference to Lullaby in Birdland.
Which is the old jazz standard.
The old jazz standard, you know. We love old jazz
So
standards
Webb
here.
and Nia, outside of the weird stop motion we just watched, forget that for a moment. What did you think of this episode of Over
can.
the Garden Wall?
It's my favorite.
There's a post on Tumblr. I don't remember what the first part says, but the second one is like, what's more embarrassing, being an animal and not wearing clothes, or wearing clothes and pretending you're not an animal? Which,
Yeah.
like, really sums up the way I feel about this episode, because, like, we have two kinds of frogs. Like, the first one, the Greg's frog that was introduced before,
George
who
Washington,
is
of course.
just the regular frog that is kind of a friend, kind of a pet, but still, like, this is, like, the only frog we see so far. And now we get all these frog people. Like, they even have their legs drawn differently. Like, if you look at the George Washington's legs, they're, like, well, they look more in line with the real frogs.
More anatomical.
While the frogs
yeah.
in this episode have, like, a lot of them have the legs drawn just like the human characters in this show have.
Right.
just, like,
They're a
straight
lot
lines.
more anthropomorphized, and
Mm-hmm.
that creates awkwardness that George Washington the frog is naked.
Yeah, you can see that they are, like, different kinds of frogs even if you did
Color
put them
too,
in
yeah.
clothes.
Right.
And we have a link in the description to the art book of Over the Garden Wall archived on the Internet Library on archive.org, and there's just a 2-page spread of a bunch of frog sketches and then the colored versions of them.
It's so good. It's so good.
So many frogs.
Just all in
Just,
these 1800s
frogs
riverboat
and
jazz band
frogs in
outfits.
1800s outfits. I mean, what more could you want? Honestly, it's
And baby frogs that you slip on.
I
that
don't
was a
like
little
them
weird.
slipping on tadpoles like banana peels,
Oh god, yeah.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty
but
bad.
I do love just a bunch of jazz frogs, top hats and straw hats, and
a lot of fairy, and the fairy itself was, according to the art book, like modeled to just feel like a giant version of like a tin toy fairy.
That makes sense.
I can see that in the design, yeah.
Oh, the on the boat on the side you see McLaughlin Brothers Ferry. McLaughlin Brothers published children's books in the 1800s up to the 1920s.
Oh, and it's also designed to the point where there are the boat is designed to the point that there are little like slots and tabs on like the walls of the ferry, so you could see kind of where they are connected, like where that would have been built if it were a toy.
It's such a nice detail. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And the song is amazing in this one. Both songs.
Right, because they infiltrate the band because the police are chasing after George Washington because he's nude.
And also, in the last one, they threw out their money to get onto the ferry, so they are like...
Yeah, they can't get caught, or else they'll
Because
get
Greg
thrown
got
off.
no
Penniless.
sense.
No sense at
No
all.
sense at all. And they're finally on their way to Adelaide's, and Beatrice seems of two minds about it. But they have to get on each other's shoulders, inspired by Little Rascals, and wear Wirt's overcoat and play in the band. And Greg disguises himself as a drum, possibly subconsciously inspired by Neutral Milk Hotel album cover.
He was asked... Pat McHale was asked if it was inspired by an album cover from Neutral Milk Hotel, and he said, almost certainly, but not on purpose.
Yeah.
Although there is also a frog that goes into either a bucket or a drum in Frogland that looked very similar to this, too.
That's
It's
true.
true.
That's true. But yeah, the song is fantastic. George Washington the Frog just opens his mouth and sings.
Yeah, he sings, we see his mouth sing. We saw him play the piano in the first episode, I believe. But also, that was in a inky black void that we weren't necessarily supposed to accept as real. He is standing on the protagonist
He's
as he-
diegetically singing.
Yes.
He's there.
standing on a protagonist as that protagonist slams the face of the other protagonist with a mallet.
Well, he
And
says,
plays,
ow, ow,
Moment.
ow,
Plays
ow.
the bassoon, but there's too much embouchure for the... I can't really-
I love how they write him as a pretentious teenager. It's
Yeah.
so
And my absolute favorite line of this episode, and maybe the whole series,
Oh no, Beatrice, I'm too young to go to frog jail.
it's
So
really,
this is
it's
also
so fun.
where he name drops Jason Funderburker.
That's
Did that
right,
happen in
that's
the-
right.
no, he did
mention
not.
him before, right?
No, he didn't. He just mentioned that he had... The previous episode was that I have a crush on a... Yeah, previous episode, I have a crush on a girl, and this is the episode that sets up the idea of, like, there is some kind of romantic rival named Jason
Yeah, and
Funderburker.
he describes him like such a, a distinguished young man.
The
Yeah.
Chad
Yeah.
Jason Funderburker versus...
Yeah. And then what he actually happens to be is such
Well,
a
I guess we don't know.
funny
We don't
Can't
know
wait
that.
to
of a
see what
teenager.
what a Chad he is. Yeah, I can't wait to see what this guy looks like.
He's probably got like
Got an 8-pack.
Yeah.
muscular eyeballs even.
For sure,
Some-
a
You need to
leather
have muscles on
jacket
your eye.
and well-coiffed hair.
Well, coiffed, yeah. I bet it's really coiffed.
I bet there's some quaffing going on.
And George Washington finally gets some clothes and a record deal out of the
A
performance.
frog
good for him.
record deal. Because none of them talk, but they have...
No, yeah, I love that none of them, there's still no talking with these animals. Like,
I guess that's why he got offered a record deal immediately, is because none of them can talk or sing,
none
and
of
they're
them
like,
can
wow, that's
maybe,
vocalize.
impressive.
They're like, oh, we can sing to the melody, but none of us can sing the lyrics. Wow.
yeah.
We can say,
And it's-
ooh, ah,
You
ooh.
sound like the guy from the Love Boat intro.
Yeah,
Or perhaps the radio version of Dream the Impossible Dream.
I know. Or the guy who wrote the Love Boat thing, offering record deals. But they it reminds me of what David Spencer said when we were talking about Gristmill, in that, he was talking about how I don't know, like, what level of talking animal and magical world I'm supposed to accept. And I think this continues to play on that, because all the frogs who are anthropomorphized...
Right, because Beatrice establishes in the first episode that birds can't talk. In this one, we establish that, frogs are anthropomorphic. They just still
they can't
croak.
Talk. They can't talk, but this one can sing. Oh yeah, what if it's just a choice?
Yeah,
that's their.
They don't have to. They don't have to talk for you. Why would they? Why would they do that? All they have to do.
Yeah, why would they do that?
We should honestly. It's disrespectful of us to expect them to learn English when we could learn croaking.
Learn frog.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Maybe they just took a vow of singing.
I like that.
While joyfully rolling in dirt. Oh, no, that's just Greg. Well, being in dirt, Beatrice put on the table an option of just staying here.
Right. Because she's like, look, you're kind of a loser, right? But not here.
You're a hero here.
Which also isn't really super true. It's just kind of her trying to, like, convince him to stay.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I'd rather live in the unknown.
More danger? No,
that's a tough
I mean,
sell
it
for me.
costs 2 cents to go on a boat ride with a bunch of frogs. Like
2 cents to go on a frog boat ride.
That sounds like the best.
But like, think about a lot of the previous episodes. I don't know. This was definitely a lighter adventure than usual, which contrasts very strongly with the ending of this episode, because that adventure is kind of shortened, like the adventure on the frog boat, because there's like a whole other section in this episode.
Yeah, it was originally a separate episode called Adelaide of the Pasture, and they just had to consolidate.
The end here.
The weird thing is, like, in my memory, when I'm not watching the episode, I think of that as a separate episode, but like altogether, I'm like, oh no, wait, this was one episode.
Yeah, because both segments of this episode have a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Although I guess there is a through line with, like, Beatrice's emotions throughout.
Were you saying something, Webb? Sorry.
I was. I think it'd be a little weird to want to live in this fantasy world when every single human that we've seen is absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it has some effects on your brain. Yes.
Consider this. He's a 14-year-old that is about to confess to his crush. That is terrifying.
And he's gonna go
It's
nuts.
true.
It is way more terrifying than frogs and clothing.
No, but I'm saying, like,
I don't think
living here is
anything's
gonna
more
make him go
terrifying
crazy.
than frogs and clothing.
So we get an explanation as to why Beatrice has been having all of these uncharacteristically wistful moments, as Bert put it.
Because her friends were about to be made into
Child servants.
I was going to say, to be fair, she started it out as saying, hey, you're two kids with no purpose. So they go from being two kids with no purpose to friends.
Right.
And also, originally, they were supposed to just clean up her yard.
Get off my lawn!
Yeah, originally they were supposed to just be punished with a few hours of manual labor.
And murder. Sorry, not murder. We finally meet Adelaide of the Pasture, and she is voiced by no one again, which is weird. I guess they just cast Adelaide as herself.
Yeah, she's
She did a
real.
great
Well,
job.
she was, until someone opened a window.
She was real. Yeah, she was. Pat McHale went into the recording booth and was like, it's kind of stuffy in here. You mind if I just...
And then they had to work that into the episode. The part where she melted.
What? Were we rolling on that? Okay, we got that? Alright, cool. Let's work that into the script.
Because we don't have a voice actress anymore. She just melted.
Yeah,
Hope
so
we got
Adelaide,
enough takes.
As it turns out, Beatrice was lying to Wirt and Greg the whole time and was planning to exchange Wirt and Greg to Adelaide as servants in exchange for these magical pair of scissors that when cutting off her wings and her family's wings would turn them back into humans, which sounds
The
horrific,
scissors that
but
make you
also-
not a bird.
Yeah.
The water that makes the frogs gay and the scissors that make you not a bird.
Of course. I love that those scissors are actual purchasable embroidery scissors. Like, I used those on the project that I've been working on.
According to the art book, Amalia Lavari said, the pair of scissors that turns birds back into people was one of my favorite visual elements from the series. We were trying to think of Adelaide's character and an object that would fit. I definitely pushed for Adelaide to exist in a world that was made of textiles, wool, yarn, and thread. When we got to the part about the specific object, I called up my mom because she taught me how to knit and crochet. She sent me a pair of bird scissors. The fact that they ended up in the series made me really happy. It was my tribute to what my mom taught me.
And
Aw.
to kind of combine potentially this is a comforting figure versus potentially this is a scary figure, she's knitting like a grandmother, but then there is yarn set to look like spider webs all
Right.
over. So it's kind of half grandmother, half spider, sort of a big bad wolf sort of deal.
She does whatever a spider grandma can.
Of course.
Spider Gran. Pat McHale said in a kind of Gravity Fallsy sort of way, we introduced Adelaide in the beginning of a series as sort of a MacGuffin, and then at some point we were getting close to episode 6, and we paused and said, wait, what's Adelaide all about? There were so many plot things to juggle, I hadn't thought much about Adelaide's actual design or personality. We thought maybe she's spidery, maybe she has all these arms and she's always knitting, and her whole house is covered in yarn webs that she uses to trap people. And yeah, pretty much that's what happens.
Real quick while we're on the topic of the art book, there's a fantastic design here where Adelaide has 3 hands in the lower right corner.
What?
So
She's got
good.
a hand
Oh,
on
wow.
each side and then one kind of
In the
I can
middle.
hold
out of her
Adelaide's
chest.
hand.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
she is the ultimate Nintendo 64 gamer.
Oh,
You're right. You're right.
Pat McHale also said, at some point we discussed Adelaide keeping a flock of sheep at her house from which she gathered her wool. In that version, Adelaide told Beatrice she needed a child servant to tend her flock because she couldn't go outside herself. Eventually, it's revealed that the sheep are actually lost children who Adelaide magically transformed into sheep. Very Pinocchio. This would have made her story clearer and provided a nice visual to boot, but I was never able to figure out what to do with all those children turned sheep. We couldn't just leave them as sheep, but we also couldn't suddenly introduce a whole gang of new characters. We'll just do what Pinocchio did. Just
Miss
leave 'em.
Langtree can come along. Miss Langtree and her gorilla
Yeah!
husband. Like,
No, but Pinocchio just abandoned those kids.
Well,
Like,
I feel if there were a bunch of little lambs, maybe the school marm wouldn't approve of that, Shelby.
no, they're turned back to kids, and then she hangs out with them. You guys are gonna learn the clarinet now.
No, which it followed her to school one day, which was against the rules. No sheep at school, Shelby. It's in the song.
There are sheep in that classroom.
You're
She
right.
breaks the rules.
She breaks the
I
rules.
like-
and
I'm wondering
a
if there
rebel.
is like she's a rebel, low-key Zaniba vibes from Spirited Away too. With
Yes.
Adelaide.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
definitely.
A
then
part of
Ray-
me wishes they like expanded on the idea of her looking kind of like Baba Yaga, like they mentioned earlier in the art book.
Right.
They have these sketches in the art book of her with a scarf but without the hat. I feel like that would be so cool, but like mostly because I am Russian and I know that Russian grandmas are like very like associated here with a lots of colorful rags because like in the Soviet times when the like excess wealth was like very rare, basically the rugs were to display them on the walls, not even on the floor, but on the walls as a sign of like wealth. And that would be very in line with Adelaide's character. Kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
They
I think
probably
the final design is a bit boring.
I was just gonna say it incorporates more like standard the American idea of a witch, like as well, like on top of the Baba Yaga.
I feel like they use the draping pattern that is going to be like there's a draping pattern of the scarf that gets used in a later character design. So I feel like that's probably why they changed the profile of Adelaide so drastically so that you don't mix those two characters up.
True.
But yeah, no, the Adelaide part of this episode is a little rushed.
It's like they've been building up the hype around Adelaide, if you can call it that.
Yeah.
So it was a bit underwhelming. Is all.
Yeah.
I
as well
really
as
I like the design where she has the knitting needles coming out of her bun.
Oh yeah, that's very good.
Charley, you were saying that the scissors that turn you back into a human when you cut your wings off feels very like Brothers Grimm.
Yeah, I
specifically.
read with the last job I had, I read the original Brothers Grimm version of Hansel and Gretel, which is about a witch luring someone into their house, except like in the first 3 pages, and then the rest is about something else, and then
What
there's
if there were human
I bet they had
scissors that
them.
turn you into birds? Though?
There probably are.
When you cut off your
actually.
arm.
you just have to use the other end, but yeah, there are constant just magical MacGuffins when it feels like they just keep running out of ideas and just coming up with a new story, and there's a lot of
So the Brothers
magical
Grimm
objects.
the Brothers Grimm tales are specifically like a compilation of a bunch of different old ladies telling the same story.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds to me like they interviewed like 5 old ladies and they all
put in
had really
every
cool
version.
details and put in every version.
Yeah.
Like Chris Columbus writing the original draft of Indiana Jones 2.
Yes.
Yeah, as
yes.
well as her plan, Adelaide's plan of replacing Wirt and Greg's brains with wool so they'll become her servants. It feels very Hansel and Gretel of like, these 2 children, now they're mine. I'm going to do creepy things to them.
And
Yes.
exposure to a random element making you melt is
Making a witch melt,
absolutely
yeah.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz, for sure. Specifically here, it's the night air, which is interesting, because, like, she alludes to the fact that she is a servant of the beast, but, like, he lives outside. How do you see him?
She said that she hears him in her head, I believe.
He calls
But
her up
I
and is
like-
Yeah.
Yo, Adelaide, you up?
You up? New phone. Who dis?
That's what Adelaide said. New phone! Who dis?
I like the detail that she is allergic to the night air, so she covers herself in wool and is continually creating things to keep her warm. I feel like that's a really interesting character detail.
And she also looks very sickly off the bat. Like, she has, like, dark circles around her eyes and sunken cheekbones. Like,
Yes.
So, Adelaide is weak against the air. The Wicked Witch of the West is weak against water. That means there has to be a witch that's weak against dirt, and witches that are weak against fire, although those might just be people.
You are correct! That is correct. That's a
you're
good punchline. I like that. No, apparently they didn't burn people at the stake in Salem times. That was the witch hunts in, like, England. They would just, like, throw people in the water with a log.
In Salem, they were like, we're not barbarians.
Yeah.
We're just gonna drown them.
Well, no,
yes,
'cause
of
if
course.
They were busy, so to burn someone to the stake is a big to-do. To just toss someone into
yeah.
the river is like, all right, we're done with this person.
Yeah.
Take me to the river.
To throw me in the water.
No, don't throw me in the water!
I wanna know. Hey, Billy, do you want to talk about Over the Garden Wall? I wanna.
Ella's still referencing a joke from like 30 podcasts ago.
Yeah, it's a good joke.
It is a good it fits with this episode, too.
That's true. There's a lot of singing animals. A lot of singing aquatic animals.
We could have had a third guest, but...
Our third guest, we could have had Liz come in just as George Washington.
Oh my gosh! Please.
So yeah, the episode kind of ends on a question mark because Beatrice opens the window and kills Adelaide and then escapes, leaving the scissors behind. And Wirt and Greg are just kind of left to continue on their journey. And now they really don't know how to get home because Adelaide was kind of their one shot. And that turned out to be a whole lot of baloney.
Did they try clicking their heels together? Or
I kind of wish that Beatrice had a moment of, like, decision before that. But I guess it also made the very dramatic reveal that she was trying to...
It's interesting,
betray
right?
them, I guess.
I feel like there's different... I thought about this a lot when it first aired. Like, there's different ways they could have gone about it. They did it this way where you find out along with Wirt and Greg, basically, that she was planning to betray them. There's also, in contrast to something like Gallivant, which we are also doing a podcast about, in the first episode, there was a character who was actually secretly working with the villain and is planning on betraying the heroes for their own self-preservation and to help their family. And that's something that you, the audience, know from the outset, and so there the drama is, when will the other characters find out? What will the emotional fallout be? Whereas here it's just the surprise of finding out.
Yeah.
But everybody knows that surprise villains, like, at the time, it was not as
Have some
overused.
candy!
yeah, you're right. Since Beatrice was revealed to be betraying them, every other animated property was like, oh.
Oh, Wirt and Greg, if only there was someone out there who loved you.
Goodness, yeah.
I think that if you turned a real bird into something else, you'd go crazy.
I think only
No, I think they'll just
Like,
kill most
power.
birds.
Like if I
you're just
used them-
gonna-
if I took them and clipped an ostrich's wing, would there be a giant, tall,
would not
violent
like
person just running around kicking people?
I
Yeah.
love that idea, but also ostrich's bones are much thicker. I can believe you could cut bones of a tiny bird with embroidery scissors. I think
I
you
don't
need a
wanna-
bigger
no,
pair
I
of
still
bird
don't wanna-
scissors for an ostrich.
I believe that you could do that, but I don't want to think about it.
I don't
want
wanna
to
think about it
cutting
either,
at
yeah.
tiny bird
Okay, let's
bones with
move on.
embroidery scissors.
I love
I mean,
cutting.
they are
I
hollow.
love thinking
so.
about cutting tiny bird bones with embroidery scissors. I don't know about you.
I'm gonna tell your
that's not my
chickens.
favorite.
Yeah, look at these weird
I want the
chickens.
chickens to be people, Nia. Don't you understand?
You want the weird chickens to be weird people.
I
What
want.
are you gonna do with like
I want-
10
Good for you.
women in your house?
I want twice. Yeah, I want a group of a dozen. A dozen lesbian old women living outside of my house.
You're gonna go. Yes,
Anyway.
they do like hanging out at the fire with you, so
It's true.
it'd just be a little more clucking.
If only they had time for another episode.
I know, but now we don't know where Beatrice went, and it's just back to classic Wirt and Greg. Wirt and Greg, 100 years, 100 days.
But yeah, so I looked up Beatrice's age. It's still not clear. It's only known that she's a teenager, but that also might mean that she's like 17.
It's also
I feel
unknown
like
for
she's on an
Wirt.
older age than Wirt.
Wirt
I feel like
could
yeah.
be 17. There's no confirmation on it.
We also don't know
Nah.
how long she's been a bluebird.
We don't. That's true.
Mm.
How long have you been a bluebird?
As long as I
Wow.
can remember.
Eat your dirt.
Do we have
Oh,
any
do I have to?
any final thoughts on this episode before we make y'all?
Worms
birds?
fly south.
No.
For now, I do have those embroidery scissors, so we
That's
can
true.
become
Wait,
humans
Shelby
again
owns
at any
the
point.
scissors.
I own the scissors.
Next time I see Shelby, I'm
Shelby,
going
are
to steal
you
the scissors
Adelaide?
and just go nuts, turning every bird I see into a person.
No, I need those for my projects.
You'll walk outside, and the duck pond that is outside your parents' house will just have a bunch of naked people
Naked
swimming in.
people.
You'll be like, Charlie!
Yes.
But would they also
yes.
work on dinosaurs? Would
Yes.
They also work on dinosaurs.
I think so.
The giant man with tiny arms walking around. I like the idea. I like your idea that I like your idea that the scale like stays the same depending on what kind of bird you have
Yes.
turned human. Like
Well, it's not.
You need fabric scissors for something bigger.
So, Beatrice does kind of try to sacrifice herself instead of Wirt.
that's
and Greg.
true. That's true. But
So
they don't
it's
see
not-
that.
Yeah, it's not completely like having a moment of truth, but she's trying. She's just very she's very in denial. She's not true to herself.
The more I think about it, probably should have been its own episode.
It should have. It would have been a good episode.
Because I used to think it didn't.
It's
I used,
rushed.
I used to think it was okay that it wasn't its own episode, but the more I think about it, I'm like, that would have been great.
Yeah.
Because she does try to help them, but Wirt and Greg, all they see is
The betrayal, yeah.
Like maybe if they're maybe it is intentional. I'm not really sure because like if there were more time, Beatrice could have had more time to talk to Adelaide about being her help instead. But like they walked in so suddenly, they didn't even had the time to expand on that either. Because like she was like about to agree to that, I think, because she did take out the scissors.
Yeah. At least Beatrice has, like, an excuse if Wirt and Greg confront her. She's like, look, I wanted to explain, but we just didn't have time. There weren't enough episodes. Don't blame me. Blame Cartoon Network.
We only had 12 minutes.
It's
And
called
the
a
frog
mini.
was
escape into
singing
the
for
real
3 of
world.
them.
It's called a
Then they'd
mini
escape into the real-
series where
And then they'd escape into the real world and egg David Zaslav's house.
I love shows about a strange frog world where they escape to a real world.
Amphibia?
Oh, yeah. There's also one of those.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently. You've been licking yourself again, Frog Seuss.
Thank you for joining us
Yeah.
in the unknown here today, Nia and Webb. If people want to check
No, don't you mean Witchy Web and
that's true. Sorry. Thank you for joining us in the
Thank
unknown
you for
today,
having
Witchy
us.
Web and
Yeah. Thank you.
if people want to
been a
check
pleasure.
out more of what y'all have going on, where can they find you, Nia?
You can find me pretty much on all of my socials at Tomato Magica. I am on Tumblr, I am on Instagram, Pixiv, YouTube. Tomato Magica is where I'm at.
What you got going on?
These days I mostly focus on releasing covers of anime songs. Actually together with my friends too, including Wab. So I stream art making, karaoke, sometimes video games, like chill stuff, like visual novels. So if you into that kind of stuff, definitely come hang out. Yay!
Yay!
And Witchy Web?
So I stream as well on YouTube at Weavimizi, your local magical girl. And I really, really love to do whatever I want. There are no restrictions.
No laws.
And there
in
is no
Frogland.
stream schedule. I also tweet on Twitter every day. Every time. There is not
Once
a time.
a day, yeah.
It's like at
There
least
are
3
laws
times a
in
day,
Frogland.
unless I'm sick, which last week I was asleep all week, so there was nothing. But
You got hand, foot, and mouth.
it's not gonna happen again.
Hope you get better soon.
My brother had the hand, foot, and mouth, actually. He had, like, the spots.
Isn't that what you...
I don't have it.
Isn't that what you would have then?
No.
Oh, you got something unrelated
Yeah,
to the person
the same,
in your house who is
the
sick.
same day, Keith came home and he's like, I got spots on me. And I'm like, loser. And then I start coughing. And then he's like, haha, loser. So
Wow.
that's what happens.
Maybe you
Careful what you
got
wish for.
cursed for insulting your brother.
But that
Maybe you
happens
threw
a
rock at
lot. I feel
bluebird.
like the witches do get cursed a bit. But you can find me on all those platforms. Thank you.
Yeah, so both of us are VTubers, so if you want to watch cute anime girls do fun stuff, you should come
Always.
check out our channels. We stream together sometimes as well.
That's true.
Yeah.
We are best friends. Nia made my model. So when you look at me, you're looking at her.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And he looks at me.
You've got
and
my
I look
eye.
at him.
And I look at him. And he looks at me.
Oh, look
And
at
I
him.
look at him.
Oh yeah, also if you are the listener are thinking of becoming a cute anime girl, if you're
Commission
thinking
Nia.
of becoming a VTuber,
I thought about
make
that and then I
designs,
took
so-
some estrogen and now I am.
yeah, definitely consider my services because I will guide you through and through from the design to the final model to the logo. I will definitely help you. if
Give
that's
my
what you're
wife
looking
money.
Yeah, if you're
Give
thinking
me
about
money.
becoming a cute anime girl, depending on your preferred
Fair point.
form, either go to Nia for design stuff, or go to me and I'll tell you about HRT.
You can say hi to me, smiley face, or give me money to talk for you. I'll do that. I don't
Hi,
sound
Shelby.
this bad all the time, I
Web.
swear. I swear.
I will.
Webby is sick, but she's also a very talented voice actress. So if voice acting gigs is something you have,
And I'm cute.
consider.
I'm the cute stereotype,
And-
so please pick me.
And you also
Hey
do,
Web to be cute.
So if you want to find more episodes of this podcast, go on down to our host network, pipedreampodcast.com, where you can find other shows like Escape from Vault Disney, How Did This Not Get Made, Come On for Pods, and Pod Made You Special, revisiting VeggieTales. While you're there, you can find a link to our show's social medias, our Discord server, and our Patreon, patreon.com/Mystery Shack, to help us keep the lights on at this here audio-based museum. $3 gets you a shout out at the end of episodes. $5 gets you into an exclusive Discord channel. $40 will get you a voice or art commission from Charley or Ella, respectively.
Or Shelby, right?
I'll do
Or
it. Yeah.
Yes, a voice commission from either Charley or Shelby, or an art commission from myself.
Or you could make Shelby and I draw it and Ella voice it just to see what happens.
That's
We'll take
True.
your money no matter what, really.
I mean, I would take a voice commission.
I
if
love
it's a
money.
specific.
There's once again, there's a link to the Over the Garden Wall art book archived on the Internet Library on archive.org, which should be legal. And
I want to steal.
I want to steal. Well, considering it's still up, it is currently deemed legal. And David Zaslav, if you're listening to this part, you've been a very naughty boy. We told you about
Go
this.
to your room, David.
You were not invited.
You can check out our merch store at crowdmade.com/collections/Mystery Shack Lookback. You can contact
So
us
true.
at mysteryshacklookback@gmail.com.
That is also true.
That's also true. The intro instrumental was made by Sim. It was singed by Ella.
It was singed.
No, you misread that.
Signed.
Well,
But,
Nia and Webb, why don't you, since I'm so tuckered out from all the lullabies in Frogland, why don't you play us out with one of your many skills.
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh, I got you covered.
Let's hear a little
Yeah.
sample of the Web and Nia covers you can find on their YouTube.
Of course.
The Web and Nia show.
At night, when the lake is a mirror,
And the moon rides the waves to the shore.
a single soul sets his voice singing.
Content to be slightly forlorn.
A song rises over the lilies.
Sweeps high to clear over the reeds.
And over the bulrushes swaying.
To pluck at a pair of heartstrings.
Two
Voices, now they are singing. Then 10 as the melody soars. Round the shimmering pond all joining in song as it carries their reverie on. Over the treetops and mountains.
over the blackened ravines.
Then softly it falls by a house near a stream.
And over the garden wall to thee.
Woodsman, the time has come once again.
Indeed. The moon glows full above. It must be time to thank the patrons for keeping this lantern fueled as I toil in the depths of the forest. Our dearest gratitude to Daddy Driftwood,
Daddy Buttons,
Adam with 2 A's, a D, and an M,
Easy Snake Oven,
Friendly Local Geek,
Hope,
Hugh Salinas,
Jamie Belts,
May,
Oliver Pluto,
Tuno Series,
Richard Scanlon,
Ro Davis,
Samantha Angley,
Spencer Neil Campbell,
Vanillin Zucker,
Petey Piranha Plant,
B. Calasota,
David Cancel,
Gwen Prime,
Delphine Dussy,
Junior Bra,
Jessie Marie McDougall,
Ryan Faber,
Mumbletine, D. Wumbletine,
Elizabeth Neuenfeld,
Stephen Patrick Mulholland,
Sterling Jubilation Axel.
and roll for Arcana.
Be sure to keep that lantern lit, Woodsman. Pray you don't disappoint me.
Help me carry my endless burden through the night at patreon.com/mysteryshack.